Hello, Bear Beauties. That sounds right. So I think I'm gonna call you guys that, Bear Beauties. This is another installment. Actually, this is the first installment of something I'm calling Alter With Me. So today I have an appointment with a new client. She is a bridal client and she wants her dress taken in. So now that it's nice and quiet, I'm gonna take you guys along with me to see a client who is getting her wedding gown taken in. Hopefully she doesn't mind me recording, and hopefully this is a learning experience for you, and maybe you're someone who likes to sew and wants tips on altering things, and maybe you're a seamstress, or maybe you're just learning, so this might be helpful. So you guys are gonna come with me, and I might even take you along on the process while I'm sewing. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see how this goes. Hey guys, so we're back in the office, and for this video we're going to focus on the hem and the cuffs for this dress. What I did was mark the hem a ½ inch below where my pins were, so I kept the shape of where it needed to be taken up. And what I'll do is just cut along the line so that I know it's a nice even curve. After I cut the hem, I noticed that the edge of the fabric ended up coming to a point rather than a curve, as you can see here. So what I'm doing now is turning my fabric inside out, right sides together on both layers, and I'll look to see where the previous seam stopped so I can proceed with my curve on that seam. What I'll do is lay the fabrics together and start pinning where I want to sew. At this point, my fabric is right sides together, laying nicely. I'm placing it at the sewing machine, and you can see that the seams are not completely even where the curve was. I'm sewing here at a ½ inch seam allowance. As I said, I marked it a ½ inch below where I pinned it to take up so that I had that seam allowance available. After you sew all around, I left a little opening in the middle. So that way I can stick my hand in and turn the dress inside out and then proceed with the clean finishing. Once I have the dress completely inside out, I can fold in the bottom opening that's left a ½ inch in, and then I'll apply a single needle top stitch after I pinned it together so it lays nicely. Here's what it looks like after I've applied the single needle top stitch towards the edge. So only that little opening would have had that single needle top stitch, and the rest of the curve would be clean finished. Now we're focusing on our cuff. So I've measured the cuff to be 3 inches tall with a 6.5 inch circumference as far as on half. So total circumference would be 13 inches, and that also includes seam allowance. This measurement obviously correlates to my bride's muscle on her arm, because that's where the cuff will be placed. I've marked it with a Sharpie just so you guys can see, and I'm cutting along that line, and then I'll be able to sew. Now I'm at my sewing table and I'm taking out the pins from where I laid the fabric in half in order to make the cuffs. I'm checking out the fabric, making sure it all lays together nicely, and what I'll have to do is turn the fabric right sides together, and then I'll start pinning. These are the edges that will sew along in order to create the cuff. After I finish sewing, I should get edges that look like this, raw edges on both sides, and I'm turning these inside out so that we're seeing the clean finished side of the cuff. So this side would be raw finished, and what I'm doing is turning it in a 1/2 inch and pinning it back on one end. The other end is still raw edge, and I'll just insert it into the edge that I folded back a 1/2 inch. Then I'll pin it so it lays flat. After I'm done pinning, I'll put it under the sewing machine and apply a single needle top stitch. Now here's the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys stay tuned for more Alter With Me videos and regular tips and tricks for sewing. See ya!